that's because the system isn't complex enough to do it.
Yeah.
Because we know, so if someone's discharged 6 patients because they're all better, and then they discharge another 4, then another 4 the week after, that's going to create gaps in the diary.
Yeah.
How do we better manage this? And then where for the guys who have got a little bit more space in the diary, it's when they are full, monitoring how many new patients are coming in and how many patients are going out, and getting clarity of that, saying, well, actually, if they've not had as many new patients in here, but they've had this many discharges here, we know that in 4 weeks' time, that's going to end up with holes in the diary.
Yeah, and you can start to plan.
So now we then increase the ad spend, decrease the ad spend. We've not got any appointments for the next 3 weeks, decrease the ad spend because someone's going to click.
Yeah.
So I want an appointment because their knee hurts.
Yeah.
I can't get an appointment for 3 weeks. I want to go somewhere else.
So you're constantly checking the data around lead inquiries, spend, but also linking it to capacity. It's just that fine balancing act of scaling while making sure there's enough demand that you aren't paying people and they've got free slots.
Yes.
But if people want an appointment, they can get it within a reasonable time.
Understandably, they're probably going to try and find something else.
And are you responsible for that, or have you got someone in your team that looks at that sales and marketing dashboard?
Yes, what I'm doing now is
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Founder Stories. I am joined today by Rick Lovell. He is the CEO of Achieve Health. He's a Growth Factor client. He's a friend of mine. I'm super excited. Today, as always, we're going to get into Rick's business journey, but I want to focus a little bit more today on mindset, health, physical fitness, optimization, because we have got this specimen of a man in the dining room today. So I think for all of us as business owners, our performance at work, especially as, you know, for me, I get into my 40s, which I feel is just when I really started understanding myself and started living. Optimization of health, energy, mindset, doing the right things just mean I think we can perform better and focus more at work and get more results than when I was in my 20s and 30s. So I really want to dig into that because, you know, Rick's a real expert in that, and we both hold a passion on mental and physical optimization. So that being said, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me. We are sat in my dining room turned podcast studio. I guess a good place to get started is just tell us what Achieve Health does, and then we'll rewind the clock and we'll go back to how you got started.
Okay, so now Achieve Health, so what we do, we offer a fairly wide range of services that all relate to health and well-being. So I'm physio by background, by training, and that's how the company started. So as I founded the company, it was physiotherapy.
I'm going to sit up straighter.
That's grown. We've already worked on your posture. So as that kind of grew and developed, and then I've been able to grow it more. We'll probably come into why that changed at one point. We then started to look at, well, what can we add into this? Because obviously the physiotherapy is one side of it, and I'll be speaking to clients about what they're doing away from their sessions and their general health and their general well-being, and how if they are spending 9, 10, 12 hours a day at a desk, then driving home from work, well, pre-pandemic, driving to work, driving home from work, then sitting down all day and their back sore, that half an hour a week is not really sufficient to counteract 99% of the rest of the time being in bad positions.
You were treating them for things that they'd come in with, and you had Achieve Physio, I think was branded at that time, but you realised quickly that, okay, I'm fixing the problem in the short term, but potentially some of their habits and lifestyle are just resetting the issue and they're having to keep coming back.
Yeah, parts of that. And then, so you'd have, if it was someone like you, I'd say, you need to do this, this and this is why you need to do it. If you don't do it, you're going to keep getting the problem. You'd go and do it and you'd be fine. But that's not the majority of people. So then it's
but
like
still me though, to be fair, because you saw me about my shoulder, right? I had a shoulder issue. It's causing me pain. It was affecting my ability to work and focus, which is kind of what I want to get into today. You identified the issue, you fixed the problem, you gave me the exercises, which I did religiously for the first 5 or 6 weeks. But then everyone, even me, falls out of the habit of
especially when you feel better as well.
Yeah. Like I have 0 shoulder pain now, right? But I should still be doing the exercises.
To an extent. Then equally with you, if we're talking about you specifically, by going through the process you went through, we eliminated your problem. So as long as and then we looked into how you were training and how you were moving the weights and the biomechanics of the movements and what you should be engaging and how you should be engaging in the kind of correct patterning. As long as you're actually then doing that, you shouldn't develop problems. So once you've addressed the problem and corrected it, and then you move correctly, should be okay. So the analogy we always use with patients is in talking about biomechanics, whether that's your foot and ankle mechanics, whether it's the way you squat or the way you press or the way you cycle, whatever it may be, it's a bit like the tracking on the car. So if the tracking's out, your tyres are going to wear.
Yeah.
The more you drive,
Yeah.
the more they're going to wear.
Yeah.
If you stop driving, they stop wearing.
Yeah.
The problem's still there. And you can put new tyres on and they look great, but the underlying problem is still there. And until you address that, you will have ongoing issues. Whereas if you address the underlying issue, do the work that we did to correct the tyres, so put a fresh set of tyres on with corrected mechanics and alignment, then we should be fine.
Yeah, which I found incredible actually, thinking about it now. You realise the way that I was executing my movements, which I've been doing for, I snuck into the gym when I was 15 and lied about my age so I could join the gym. So I've been executing these movements incorrectly for 26 years. Now, when I'm training back, for example, I've made the amendments that you've given me and the things to do in between lifting, and I've never felt a connection to the muscle like I have these last 6 months. My back development, which is it's definitely related, has come on leaps and bounds, and I have no pain. So it's incredible that I've seen variety of people through the years who gave the treatment but didn't look at the underlying cause. So let's go back. So Achieve Health now is more holistic. So how do you help people across a suite of services?
If we jump back to where we were, I train like I always have, and I got a bit frustrated with the gym where I trained in terms of just how people were treated, the training that was offered, and I do a lot of the kind of CrossFit stuff, but we've talked about earlier, I like the strength side of it as well. I think it's massively important.
Yeah.
And then with our clients, it was like, they'd go to the gym and they'd do it on their own and they'd do it wrong. They would then say, I've got a PT, and they potentially do it with the PT, but maybe the PT, didn't know quite what needed to be done, how it needed to be done, or didn't have quite the biomechanical knowledge needed for that client to do it correctly. And so they come back and there's a problem again. And I started asking, well, what if, we created something for you where you could come, you could train, you could be overseen by someone. And I was quite surprised by how many people were like, I'd really value that. So we then just kind of got the ball rolling on, well, if we have a gym, it works well. I'd like somewhere else to train. And then to make the standard of training better and the service offered better and give people more in terms of their health. And I know that if from most of our clients and people in general, if they do resistance training and they do it well, their life will be better. The single biggest predictor of mortality is muscle mass.
The single biggest predictor of mortality.
So this is really well research proven, and there's literally hundreds and hundreds of papers on it.
Yeah.
But the single biggest predictor of mortality is muscle mass. Now there's a boatload of things you can extrapolate from that.
Yeah.
But you can go as simple as like a grip dynamometer, test to squeeze. The stronger someone is on that, 50, 60, 70, the longer and the healthier they'll live.
Okay. Within a tolerance, right? If you've got some bodybuilder that's artificially raising their muscle past a certain point,
so
that's a given. Just a caveat for those that are listening that are not as into health and fitness as we are, that understand that that's a caveat that goes unsaid. Yeah, I totally agree then. Yeah. And actually, when you get into your 30s and your 40s, you want to maintain and build muscle, which keeps you strong. And I was listening to a podcast, for these podcasts, I listen to other podcasts in the morning just to get my mind in that flow of, and inspired by other people. And I was listening to Dr. Lane Norton talking about, super intelligent guy actually, I've been listening to him for probably 20 years. He was talking about, muscle, research, and longevity, and just making sure that you focus on building muscle rather than, first almost, and the way that you're executing over pure cardio fitness and other things if what you're after is to live a really long and healthy life.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of great podcasts where Lane Norton is on. I can't remember off the top of my head if it's Andrew Huberman's podcast or Peter Attia's. It might actually be both.
Yeah, I think he's been on both.
And they're both great. But it's that, again, I'm conscious I've not answered your question properly, but
that's okay.
When
that's what we do,
in terms of health and longevity, you're then into the question of, is it lifespan or is it health span?
Yeah.
I know for me personally, it's health span, and I'd rather go at 95 and be fit and healthy all the way through that as opposed to being 120 in a wheelchair.
Yeah. And the thing of, the people that live the longest eat one meal a day.
Yeah.
They live in India, in a village. They're vegetarian.
Yeah.
They walk a lot. They have really low muscle mass.
Yes.
So their bodies aren't having to do much.
Yeah. So,
But do you want, we've had this conversation before, would I want to live my life at 10 stone instead of 15 and a half stone and live on one meal a day and live like a monk? No. I'd rather live 10 less years and have my lifestyle.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. So what's the mission of Achieve Health as a group?
So
now?
Achieve Health now, so if I kind of jumped in what we're talking about, so now we've got the physiotherapy, we've got chiropractic, we've got the gym, which falls under the Achieve Health group.
Which is a nice personal project, so you get your own perfect personal gym to train in.
I
but
know
it pays
you work
for
with
itself.
other people that have gyms, and this is the brilliant irony, and I've heard it said before, is that open gym think you get more time to train, open gym end up training less.
Okay.
But that is equally part of, I think, what's happening across the rest of the business group. But the trade-off there is I do get to say to the wife, she's like, have you trained today? She's like, well, yes, I have, with the 2 kids at home.
Yeah.
But that's thankfully built into my work now.
At the gym and checking
I had
on
to be at
everyone,
the gym. I had to be there for a work reason. I've been meeting with the staff. May have fitted in a session. While
I mean, I wrote that into our verbal contract when we got married. Training has to come first, otherwise, you know, and listeners or viewers will have this as well, and it might not be training, it might be something else. You have to do that thing, otherwise you're not yourself.
100%.
And you want to be your best self for your partner, for your kids. We'll talk about that. And so I think Kieran understands that now. She thinks I'm a bit crazy at the moment because I'm dieting for no reason, or ultimately because I wanted to do a bodybuilding show, but I didn't want to sacrifice family to get that lean, to get ripped glutes lean. But I wanted to test how lean I could get while still being a normal person to see if I could maybe compete next year. Yeah. So today I went to the gym in the morning, and then I said to her, well, I can pick up the kids, but I do have to squeeze in 30 minutes on the stairs as well. So I'll try and move a few things around. She's like, you don't have to. Like, who are you accountable to? And my answer was, well, I'm accountable to myself.
Voices in my head.
Because I said I would do 3,000 calories of cardio a week. And if I don't, I'm letting myself down. So anyway, we're getting off topic. But so that what if you had to put it in a sentence, what's the mission of Achieve Health?
We're trying to create a one-stop shop. So if you think about, this isn't meant to sound negative, but
This
way
is
the
not going to be a
supermarket,
sentence. This is not going to be one sentence, Rick, is it?
the same way the supermarket kind of put the high street out of business because everything was in one roof. You want to do the same for your health, for your wellness, for your fitness.
Okay, so someone can come to you. What's their why? Why do they come to Achieve? Is it to live longer? Is it to optimize their life while they're alive?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think most people don't, in terms of what you just stated there, I think most people aren't aware of that. Okay. So they normally come to us, generally speaking, why do they come to us? Out of degree of desperation because something hurts or something is painful, from the non-gym side of it.
So that's kind of how you attract clients, which would have been one of my follow-up questions. We talk about a business being able to attract, convert and deliver to clients. How you are attracting enough leads to convert at the moment to keep growing your business is people have pain and people have problems, and that's where they initially come. Is that probably right?
For the majority, if you talk about revenue, the majority of that business comes from someone having an issue. Pain, soreness, discomfort is the primary driver across the business. And most of them want to come in, they're like, oh, my back hurts, my knee hurts, my whatever it may be hurts. And I just want it to be a bit better so I can go back to doing normal things.
Yeah.
And what will often happen is we'll say, okay, so what are your goals?
Yeah.
It's walk the dog, pick the kids up, play football, go to the gym.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, great. And then as we work through, we'll keep revisiting those goals and where we are and that we're working towards them. But we'll often then say is when we get to them, it's like, okay, so this was your base goal, but what would be your utopia? So let's say you're the picture of health and fitness and wellness.
Yeah.
What would you like to be able to do? And it's something no one thinks about. Or not many people think about.
And so they come to you. There's 2 things I just want to mention. Is they come to you for one thing, which they think is going to be a transaction, but actually where you work with them to understand that you can have a relationship in the long term and they get a return on their investment. So they're investing money with you, but their return is health, longevity, the way they feel, energy, creative output, all of these things. And so that would be for any business owner that's listening. If you have a transactional business, you've obviously maybe done this subconsciously, but think about how you could add value to your clients in the long term. How could you take that individual transaction? Maybe someone's buying your online course, maybe someone's taking one PT session. How could you then take that where you're working really, really hard to get that person through the door and then you're just letting them go. Yeah. Whereas with you, for people who have got the budget, do see the value, are a good fit for you, you're working with them across the long term, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We try to. And I think we've talked this before, I'm a big fan of sort of the personal development stuff and Tony Robbins. And so much of that is just, if you add enough value,
you do one course with Tony,
it will do well.
Or a free challenge, and you think, I did that free challenge, I feel amazing. Then you go to UPW, you do UPW, you walk on fire, and you think, that was unreal. I feel a better version of myself. Let me go to business mastery, and so on and so on.
Exactly. So the same way that kind of builds. I think what we try and have with the clients coming into the physio side and the chiropractic side of the business is exactly that. So you've come in because you want your back fixing. That's fine. We'll work through that. We will tick that box.
Yeah.
Have you thought about this or this or this or what if you do that? And then just giving them that extra value.
Yeah.
So they've come into, can you fix my back? Yes, we can fix your back.
And it's not a salesy thing.
No, it's not.
I remember with you and me, we spoke about it. You fixed the problem, but you said, look, really, we need to get in the gym and have a look at the way you're moving, which made sense to me logically. That's a natural progression. You do the treatment, you have the movements to do, but actually you need to see me.
Yeah.
And then after that, there'll be something else, and it's logical. But it's presented, you presented that to me in such a way that here's what I'd recommend. I'm trying to genuinely give you advice that will help. If that's right for you, let's do it. Let's book it in. Here's the fixed price for that, etc. But it's not upsell, which sometimes people get wrong. That
it's
balance.
A choice.
Yeah.
So, if you want to take this further, so you've seen what we can do. If you want to keep progressing, we can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do it, that's absolutely fine. And we're always here if you need anything.
And do you know what? I think so many businesses, they fall down on that. I think even if you took one thing from this podcast, just from the business advice side, it would be the follow-up. I had a massage with a really good massage lady that came to the house, had the massage, she went away, there was no follow-up. Whereas if she'd have said before she left the house, how did you find it? Would you like to book in again in 2 weeks' time? Same with the dog groomers that come and groom the dog. They groom the dog, they leave.
Yeah, hair's going to grow again.
Why not rebook the dog while you're at the property? It just makes sense if the client's happy, like you said, and they've had value.
Yeah.
Okay. And just rewinding a little bit, how did you get started, and what was the reason for going from, presumably you did a degree qualification in physio?
Yeah.
What happened after you did your degree?
So did my degree, and as part of your physio degree, you do placements, and generally sent out to placements in hospitals or whatever it may be. And then you've got your three main disciplines of physiotherapy, where you've got your musculoskeletal, so that's your typical injuries, sports, non-sports, backs, knees, etc., etc. You've got your neurological physiotherapy, so that's your rehabilitation for strokes and for various other neurological conditions. And then you've got your cardiorespiratory, so that's kind of some of the physio that's done for things like cystic fibrosis or CPOD or kind of chest and lung related problems.
Yeah.
And I knew going into university that I wanted to do the musculoskeletal and the sports and that side of it.
Is that because you had a sports background?
I've always enjoyed sports. I was never quite good enough, unfortunately. I hurt my knee quite badly when I was just before I turned 16. And that caused me a lot of problems and surgery and everything else, and then not the best care, and then just told you can't do any contact sports for a year.
And were you playing rugby or football at that time?
I did it playing football. And surgery, they took out a fragment of bone that came off the bottom of my femur, and then they literally, I got back and I thought I had cartilage surgery. Had no idea. They're like, oh no, you can't do anything for 12 months. Well, no contact sports. So again, okay, fine. As soon as you feel like it doesn't hurt too much, and my dad's a bit old school, so when I did it, and literally everyone on the pitch heard something go crunch and crack. He wasn't there, my granddad was, and he's like, I'll just bring him home and put some peas on it. It was that sort of mentality. My knee was sort of out here.
Yeah, you'll be back soon.
And so it was like, how's it? Did it hurt? I was like, well, not too bad. Oh, come on, we'll go for a run. Yeah. So it was just all. So then I start running on it and playing squash on it and doing all these things because it wasn't contact sport. And it kind of hurt a bit, but you carried on. And then 12 months later, you go back and they're like, okay, yeah, you should be fine now. So off I went, started playing football again, rugby again. 4 months later, I tore all over my cartilage. And it was that point I was like, really wishing more about this. And I'd already resigned myself to the fact that I wasn't going to be a professional footballer or a rugby player, and I kind of thought, what's the next best thing? I thought, maybe being a physio would be it. And
yeah, that's amazing. So you didn't want other people to go through that same journey as you?
I hadn't got to that point by then, but I didn't want to sit behind a desk all day.
Yeah.
I didn't think I wanted to be in an office, and I thought that would be the next kind of closest thing to being involved in sport for me. And then, going back to your question, sorry, what happened through uni? I did all these placements, thinking I probably wouldn't enjoy them, and I didn't. And so I started pestering. I called up a couple of the football clubs, and I managed to get a number I managed to get hold of the treatment room at Blues of Birmingham City.
Yeah.
So I rang there a few times and got told to go away.
Being a Villa fan, but I mean, they've got a good setup there.
And kind of rang again, I don't know what time it was, and got through, and it was like, are you the kid that keeps calling? It's like, yeah, can I just do some shadowing, please? And they're like, all right, fine, stop calling.
So you offered to come in and work for free, basically, to shadow, but I guess do whatever they wanted you to do. And that's such a lesson for people. I think nowadays, especially younger people, they want everything on a plate really quickly, and they're not willing to understand. You have to go through a period of graft where you might do things for free. Like I worked for a year as an accountant, did all my friends, family, whoever would let me, did their accounts for free. It's like, I don't know an entrepreneur that's successful that's gone straight in and just started getting paid.
Yeah.
Maybe in the world of Instagram businesses and things like that nowadays, but then they don't seem to last that long because they haven't built that core foundation.
But equally, they didn't start with 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably a period of time where...
Yeah, I guess they were putting out content.
They were building it up.
Yeah. And there's no overnight successes and all
there's
those
always
things.
That, yeah. There's always a big backstory to those overnight.
Well, that's an amazing story for you to ring one of the top, probably the top in the Midlands anyway, academy development setup of any football club. And they've let you go and shadow. Then what happened from there?
So they let me go and shadow, and I went down most Saturday mornings for about 6 months. And
you're not getting paid at this point?
No.
So were you just living at home? And
I was a student. So on the Saturday morning, they didn't have anything else like fixing my schedule. So down you went. And
rather than being, most people would have gone out and got smashed on a Friday night and just been hungover on a Saturday.
So my old boss there, my old mentor, actually, Ironically, we talked about earlier, was amazing guy, huge influence on my life. And he's brilliant. He's from Sunderland and quite old school. And it was, don't be late, don't be sick.
Yeah.
Either one of those happens, you're gone.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that was day one. Okay. So, and it'd be whatever happens. So some days I got to stand in the treatment room and watch and shadow. Other days I was like, right, go and take that out to the under 12s or go and do it. And so I just did as I was told. And then as it got progressed on and got to points where I have got to do my exams and my dissertation, etc., etc. Any chance I can have a job afterwards, please?
Yeah.
And the long and short of it was, actually, you've not been late, you've not been sick, have you? I was like, no. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So do something for free, but don't treat it like you're doing it for free. Work super hard, right? And there's no guarantee of you getting something at the end, but you're gaining experience.
You're learning from it, and you're exposed to something you're not otherwise going to be exposed to.
Yeah.
And then, if nothing else, it gives you an advantage that maybe other people don't have. And I think it comes back to that. There's I might get the phrasing wrong, but to get something other people don't have, you have to do what other people don't do. Yeah. And I think it's that simple sometimes.
But to have that mentality at a young age, I think is good. It's not something I had. I worked at KPMG. I've said this before on the first episode of Founder Stories, that I worked there. I had that opportunity. I didn't realise, I've got onto an ACA chartered accountancy program. Probably 10,000 people apply. They take a few hundred. It's really hard to get on there. Yeah. And then now I'm working in audit and I'm in the first year. So what do I expect other than I'm walking around ticking boxes and doing photocopying? But I had access to go in and speak to the chief financial officers of top FTSE 100 listed companies. And I might have been going in doing what they call a walkthrough. So you ask them about their internal processes and all of this stuff. But my attitude was like, this is bullshit. Like, I'm better than this. I don't want to go in and just talk about, like, how do you chase for payment? I already know, it's already documented. He knows and I know this is just a box ticking exercise that needs to get done to get their audit report, which they need to carry on trading. But my mentality should have been, which I'm sure would have been your mentality at that age, go in, do what you've got to do, and then say to them, listen, can I just have 10 minutes of your time just to talk to you about your journey and to learn from you? And all of them were super nice. All of them would have given me that time, but I never did that in 3 years. I just moaned and whined about, the level that I was being given work at.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think everyone has that. I think that mentality is rare at that age.
I didn't see it as work. I saw it as an opportunity that not really many people would get. So I didn't think of it as I've got to go and work on Saturday morning for free.
Yeah.
In my head, it was I get to go and do this. And also, like, I was 21 and I was quite into my football, and the guys that I was watching on Match of the Day, were just like there, and it was like like Mikel Forsell, and people might remember that one, but there were some decent players there at the time, and it was, for me, I was like, it maybe is that different situation where I was a bit like starstruck to begin with, and it's like, oh wow, like these are people I watch on TV, and these are like at the top of the game, and it was just the opportunity to go and do that, I think, was also. So it maybe, I think with those two things being combined, it made it that little bit easier. But I kind of, you said about the ringing it repeatedly, that I learned that lesson when I didn't get into uni. So physio is really competitive to get into grade-wise.
Yeah.
And when I went to University of Birmingham, you had to get AAB in your A-levels. And I got ABB.
I got ABB as well, yes.
And the best people do.
Yeah.
And so I looked on the thing online, and it was like, you've not got him. And I was like, that's not okay.
Yeah, this wasn't the plan.
And I was like, no, but I really, really want to do this. And so I was quite upset, and I spoke to our head of sixth form, and she was like, there's probably not a lot you can do, really. And I remembered, like, the woman that interviewed me for the course was one of the, like, course selectors. So I asked if I could use the phone in the office, in our sixth form, head of sixth form's office. And I called the university and said, can I speak to this person? And they're like, who is it? I said, my name's Rick Lovell, I'm a student, a prospective student. They're like, no. So 5 minutes later, I called back and I said I was the head of sixth form at the school.
Do what you got to do.
And they put me through.
Yeah.
And I said, look, sorry, I may have lied a little bit. My name's Rick Lovell. You did my interview. It was you and so. I got an offer fairly quickly. I'm hoping I maybe came across well in the interview. And she actually says, I remember, which is helpful because when I did my physio course, it was 75-80% females. So I think the guys maybe are easy to remember. And she's like, I do remember. She's like, how have you got through to me? So I was like, I did this. She's like, why have you done that? I was like, I really, really want to do this course. And I'm telling you, if you let me on, like, I will do well, and I won't disappoint. Like, and she's like, I don't know, don't normally do it. And I was just like, look, please, just begged a little bit.
Yeah.
He said, okay, well, we'll come back to you. And then we got a call back about an hour later that said, you've got a place.
Wow. And that taught you, right? It's reinforcement.
Of
even subconsciously, even if you didn't remember that, lock it down and then review it. Yeah. It's taught you.
It was something that I really wanted. I don't think I'd ever actually wanted something that much prior to that. And then to think, to naively think I was going to have it, and then have it all of a sudden, no, you've not. Like, it hit me really, really hard. And I kind of just thought, you know what, I've got it. What's the worst case scenario? Yeah. I haven't got a place. Worst case scenario is I still haven't got a place. So fuck it.
Yeah, and Tony Robbins always talks about, which you've done anyway, which I guess is why you've enjoyed his work and found a connection with him. He always talks about, you can do anything if you're resourceful enough. Too many people will not sit down and say, well, here's the problem. What resources do I have to solve that problem? What possible actions could I take to solve the problem? Your problem is you didn't get into university, you only missed it by 1 grade, which we all know is a load of bullshit, right? That doesn't mean you're not going to do well on the course. Your attitude above people who got 3 A's would mean you'll do well on the course, because you're not going to be out all the time. You're going to be working hard, and you're going to be so grateful of the opportunity if they give it to you. But you wouldn't get many student age. How old are you at this point? 18. 18-year-olds thinking, well, okay, well, I've rung up, I haven't got through. That's when they'd stop. then you've been even more resourceful to say, well, if I ring up again but lie about who I am, that's how I get past the gatekeeper, which is a great technique for sales calls as well, right? How do you get past the gatekeeper? Lie about who you are until you get through. And then, I just think it's amazing. I think it's a really great lesson for people, because in business, you come up against issues, you come up against problems on a daily basis. And if you're not a resourceful person, or you don't cultivate an attitude, a mindset of resourcefulness, you will eventually give up at some point, because it'll be too much banging your head. Running a business is a bit like banging your head against the wall. Every day you get up, you have to be willing to bang it in a slightly different way to make a dent in the wall, right? So you got in, you've done the course, you found a mentor, which again is another example of resourcefulness. You're at Blues. What happened from Blues to then forming Achieve Health?
So finding that mentor, who was a guy called Neil McDonald, he was head of medical there, had been for a long time. What was interesting with him, apart from him as a person, was normally in football, the manager brings in their person, their people, their team.
Yeah.
And he'd been there for 10 years through, I don't know how many managers. Okay. And I think he left briefly. I think he had a bust up with Trevor Francis. And then I think after he was gone, the owners were like, we need him back.
Yeah.
And he was there through a few. And probably quite amusingly, the other way around to what people might expect was, I kind of learned how to treat people by treating the players.
Okay.
Because you're in a big treatment room, there's multiple beds, there's the whole physio team.
Yeah, I've seen that on, have you watched the documentaries on Amazon Prime and stuff like that?
Nothing team, like that. So there's like 6 beds and the whole medical team are in there. And it'd be like, right, I want you to do this and this. And the first couple of months were horrendous. Yeah. Just got slaughtered. Because it'd be like, right, I want you to do this and this. And so you're there and you're trying to do something and it's like, who the fuck are you doing? Don't really know. Don't do it like that. Do it like this.
Okay.
So that would happen day after day. But then you're getting hammered by the lads. So they're like, right. They're like, oh, I don't want the new one. It's shit. And so the lads will all take the piss out of each other. It's like, well, clearly that's you in the pecking order because you're shit, so you get the shit physio, and I'm great. So
and it's a different environment with footballers, right?
Completely.
They will tell you what.
It was different then as well. Like, I imagine it's quite different now. And there was never there was a lot of banter, a lot. But it was always kind of, it was never nasty. It was always just that. But then it's...
but they want to test you as well to see if you can do it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They will test you.
Because that's their career at the end of the day. They don't want you working on them unless they build some confidence with you.
But being in that environment and having someone of that level there to turn and go, no, don't do it like that, do it like this.
Yeah.
10 times a day, 7 days a week, is you learn quickly.
And you're seeing probably all kinds of different issues.
Yeah, quite a bit. And then, but the great thing is, they've been assessed and they've been diagnosed, and he was awesome. He's got it right, and he's told you what to do to fix it. So then you're just learning it as you go along. Yeah. And then after probably 5-6 months there, ironically, he was happy enough that I was at a certain standard where he let me start treating patients privately. Okay. So we had patients that he'd see outside of the football club. And it wasn't until that point he was happy I'd got to a standard working on the players. It'd be like, okay, you can see these guys
so
as well.
Through his brand and his company, you were helping him support more people.
And then, long story short, is that kind of the private work grew, and another one of the guys at the club was involved in doing that as well, and it grew a bit further. And Neil had been working in that level of football for a long time, and I think people always think it's quite glamorous, but it's not necessarily, it's Blues as well. So we weren't, playing against Juventus in the Champions League. We weren't going to the Bernabeu. So, it's evenings, it's weekends, it's all the bank holidays, it's Boxing Day, it's Christmas Day, it can be all sorts. So he'd got to the point where he's like, I've done my time here, I've had enough.
Yeah, that's
He'd built the private business to the point where he could leave football and not lose revenue.
Yeah.
And he had some grand plans, and I was just completely kind of under his guidance and massively respected him, and said this is what I want to do, this is the plan, this is how we'll do it. And I was like, so he'd kind of said he was going to leave that summer,
and he wanted to take you along with him then at that point.
And then one of the other guys as well, so we did. And then we had this sort of private company that was called Physio World at the time, and that grew, and we had probably 7 or 8 guys and sort of 4 or 5 clinics. And then we got approached by a big law firm, and this was 12 odd years ago. So the market, our market's changed a lot, but whiplash was kind of becoming a thing.
Yeah.
And the insurance companies were paying out on it. So we got approached by this law firm. They're like, look, we've got X amount of referrals. We already give this many to you. You get good results and you're efficient.
Yeah.
If we guarantee you a number of referrals per region, will you open clinics there? And it was kind of a bit of an offer you can't refuse. If you don't take this offer where we're going to buy 51% of your business, we're going to take all this and go somewhere else.
Okay.
So anyway, that deal was done. And again, Neil was a massive driving force in my life. He's a force of nature as well. So when they're in like your 3-year goal is to open 100 clinics, that was year one done, 100 clinics.
Wow. So you opened 100?
It was carnage.
Physiotherapy clinics
inside a year.
In a year. Wow.
But we're talking about different things. That came down to the team. So the initial 8 or 9 guys who'd been handpicked, and some came in and then they went out fairly quickly because of the way it worked. And from a HR point of view, you might not be able to get away with some of it nowadays. But it was very much, this is what you do, this is how you do it. Yeah. It's non-negotiable. This is a dictatorship.
Yeah.
Do as you're told, you'll see results.
Yeah.
If you don't do as you're told, we won't get results, and we'll know because you're not getting results, and that'll be that. Yeah. So we had this team of guys who were brilliant, and Neil had sort of said to him, will you give me 18 months and go to the northwest, the northeast, the southwest, so we'll pay you, blah, 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 we'll support you. And they did. Yeah. And so we had these generals that went off and then just like replicated what we were trying to do, which
in a certain area,
which is what allowed us to do it. Part of that deal was there was an exit option down the line, and depending on the volume of work that came from that law firm, that would dilute our value. So if less than 40% of the work came from them, we'd get full value. So at that point, the only thing Neil said was dilute it, get full value. So it was a chaotic sort of 4 or 5 years, but by the time we got to that point, it was the biggest company in the country by a distance. Wow. There were over 200 clinics. They were doing 12,000 treatments a week across all of them. It was a bit of a monster. Yeah. It was challenging to control. But it was a massively interesting experience. Ended up going to work down at run another company that was part of the group that wasn't a physio company, the big like processing admin kind of function. Okay. So I saw all of that side of it and all of the office politics and all of that shit, and ended up project managing an IT system, which is communication.
Well, I think if a company's growing that fast, you get dragged into all areas.
So the law firm was big. They've been trying to put in this IT system for 3 years, like a custom bespoke one across their businesses. And it's always that typical thing. And looking back now, it's like, well, the IT people hadn't spoken to the users. The users hadn't spoken, well, they just assume they want this. And they've got it, well, they don't like it. So they send, well, they're rubbish. They send a shitty email. Well, they're idiots. So they send, and they just got nowhere. Yeah. So anyway, I ended up doing that. And then there's an exit option as part of the contract. And by this point, it was, 7, 8 years later. And the business was pretty valuable. Yeah. And my old gaffer said, look, I've had enough. They won't let us run with it. So they'd let us run with it. It'd grown, it'd done really well. Yeah. And then we wanted to diversify it and go back into high-end stuff, because we'd started with this Premier League standards of treatment available to the public. Yeah. And it ended up being this kind of high volume, like sausage machine of in one end, out there, because the insurance companies just wanted in, tick the box, out.
But they owned 51%.
Yes.
Then.
Yeah. And then obviously we did it for other providers as well. It was shrewd on them. They had referrals they sent into their intermediary company. They then had a network of physios. So they're like, well, actually, if we own the physio, we send our work into our own intermediary company. Yeah. From there into the physio company that we own half of. Yeah. So all the revenue just comes back in. And it was shrewd on their part. There'd probably be an investigation into that now, because questionable practice. Yeah, this exit option came up, and we'd wanted to we'd made the company successful, made the owner like, the law firm, he was, that was making more money than his law firm. Wow. But they wouldn't.
But that is just
money
about,
back to invest.
See an opportunity.
Yeah.
You could have said no to that. They could have also not seen the opportunity.
Yeah.
So a good learning point there. I don't know whether the size of the business will be relatable to the viewers and the listeners, but the learning point there is relatable, which is, do look outside of your own business. Look at opportunities to either partner with other businesses in other industries or create deals where you've got a consistent flow of leads. I had Harvey from Mahir's on last week. It was a catering company in the Midlands. Okay. He's signing deals with local schools, football clubs, Commonwealth Games, all of these types of things to secure big, high value, recurring catering deals rather than just looking at individual elements. So always think big and always try and sit down, have thinking time and think about what big leap forward type opportunities are there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it wasn't in our plans. Our plans, as I said, was Premier League standards of treatment available to the public.
But you were doing a really great
super
job.
High level of service, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hang on, there's this opportunity.
Yeah.
And
but that only came to you presumably because you built a great brand and you were known.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was so much because of the brand. I think it was just because of they looked at their numbers in terms of, from their point of view, the insurers, how quickly they assessed, how quickly do we get the reports back, how quickly they discharged.
So your internal efficiencies
for them, it was
were
more
really good.
It made their lives easier because they were booked in quickly, they were treated, and the reporting was done quickly. They were like, oh, this makes our life easier.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it was more that, but that is because they were treated the same way that our private clients would have been, whereby it's like, we want to get you the best possible results as quickly as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it was, and then there was the standards thing. Like, everyone's standards had to be there.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter who you saw, like the patient or whatever, it had to be that. So I think that was indirectly trying to provide Premier League standards of treatment is what led to those sort of outcomes in terms of the reporting and the processing that the insurance companies like.
And so you sold that business?
Yeah, so the exit option came up, and the reason, I mean, Neil was less young, and the company was valuable, and was kind of a bit stuck in that kind of slightly different corporate world where we couldn't be too entrepreneurial and go, oh, let's do this, or let's try that, let's try that.
Yeah.
And then you get this, there's a board, oh, can we do this? No. Oh, we can do that. No, you're not going to do that. And
yeah, it's back to the culture of the placements that you had pre-Blues that you didn't enjoy, right?
Yeah. And I think since then I've learned, and you see this in like the business, well, startup and investment or whatever else, that often the founders end up leaving.
Yeah.
Because they like this drive, this whatever, but actually once it gets to a certain size, what they want is stability, and what it probably needs is stability.
Yeah, yeah. Business is different.
It varies. Yeah,
100K to a million to 10 million. Everything's different.
Absolutely. And I've learned that since, and I see that now. And we wanted to then go back into we've been profitable. Well, now we want to open what we're kind of looking at doing now, these super centres where it is like being in the Premier League treatment room.
Yeah,
and that wasn't an option that we were going to be allowed to do. And then as soon as my old gaffer said, I'm going, I was like, well, if he's gone, I've got no say at all.
Yeah.
So I'll go. I had very small shareholding, but I had a little bit of shareholding that he'd given me, and the other lad did as well. And it meant that I could leave with a little bit of a payout that meant I didn't have to worry for a year or two about paying my bills and doing whatever else. So I thought, fine, we'll go back into like actually doing something that I really do enjoy in the treatment side of it.
Yeah.
Which is when I found sort of a chief physio.
And so did you have a break after your...
Probably had, yeah. So when it got to the point where it was I'm going to go. It was almost like a 2-3 months gardening leave type situation where I did have something of a break. We then got sort of the payout, so to speak. So probably had a couple of months and we kind of redid the whole house, which I've been waiting to do for a while.
Yeah.
And then sort of started again. And then
did you have kids at that point or?
No.
No. Okay. But you were married?
No, not at that point.
Okay.
No. So this would be 7 years ago. With 3 years restricted, so part of the exit agreement was 3 years restricted covenants. So staff, clients, the whole thing, nothing to do with the old business. But I had it agreed that I could work independently. Okay. So 3 years where I just worked independently. Started
under the brand Achieve or just under your own name?
Yeah, no, the brand Achieve. So that's my
Did you come
brand.
up with that name yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because at the time when I set it up, I thought long term, I want to have something that will be able to do different things. Yeah, so I didn't want it to be my name. Yeah. And I wanted something that it would link into other things. And I just thought and I'm the Tony Robbins aspect of power word. So is it a powerful word? Does it mean something?
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, yeah, it does. And it's also something kind of just for me, and like you talked about, why you need to go and do your 3,000 calories because you promised yourself you would. Yeah. It's well, if it's called that, you've got to make sure it does that in some capacity. Yeah. But then I'd also thought it then lends itself to health, fitness, mindset, all those other things. So kind of why I picked it. So I kind of had 3 years working on my own, and then as that was coming towards an end, I was like, right, tapped up a couple of people we used to work with.
Yeah.
One of whom, she was always great. She's my number 2 now. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And she was like, it's not gone to shit. She was like,
Just not the way you
our
want
culture
it,
is
right?
gone.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
culture was like, entrepreneurial is about winning, is about not making excuses.
Yeah.
It was a bit like at the football club, a lot of banter, a lot of kind of...
Yeah, whereas a corporate organisation is always going to be about
Exactly.
how do we squeeze out more profits.
Yeah, and what they were starting to do was squeeze out our senior guys because they got paid more.
Yeah.
They didn't understand how valuable they were. They didn't understand that they were the business and they made it all work. So they were getting rid of them. They were making excuses. They were closing down. It was just all that. It was crap. And she was like, yeah. So she came across, which was amazing because she was ready-made. We had her in the old business. We had her out of uni.
And you knew,
And
I
we
guess,
nurtured her from day one.
to scale, you needed to put really good people around you,
Yes.
so you could step away from the day-to-day and
Yeah, so it
start
took a
running the
bit of
business.
time. So sort of, but with someone like her, she was amazing because I knew her and I
Yeah,
knew
she'll
her
just go.
standards and her
Yeah.
everything else. And then we from that point started to try and actually grow and expand the business. So that was probably 4 years ago.
Do you think that you are a natural entrepreneur? Because I would say that for me, I'm more of a technician. When I started my business, I called it SRK Accounting. I didn't call it Growth Factor. It took me 7-8 years to sign a client called Notepad Studio I've had in, who are an amazing branding agency in Birmingham, who told me, your name's shit. You really need a name that actually represents and a brand that represents what you do. I didn't come up with that. And some of the things that you've done, like recognizing you need senior people, I didn't come up with that. I learned that the hard way, but you've made these moves before making mistakes.
I was taught that. So I think going through the expansion that we did with the old business, I mean, you talk about making mistakes.
Okay, so
I mean,
you
that was
learned
constantly
through
putting
that.
that was constantly
so
putting fires out.
the lesson there is exposure to an environment where you will learn those lessons.
Yeah,
You can
so
see a
it's
business
being
growing, even
like
if it's not your business. If you went into a business that was scaling quick and then started your business after, you've learned all those lessons by
So
observation.
there was, as is always going to be a way, you're going to make a lot of mistakes and you learn from those. And we saw loads of that through that business. And I think that's what put me in good standing for starting this one. But going back to what you said, I think now I feel like I am. At the time, I wasn't sure because I'd never been ultimately in charge. I'd been like number 2.
Yeah.
So I knew I was pretty capable in terms of doing what needed. I knew, from a treatment point of view, I wasn't concerned about that. I knew my abilities in terms of being a physio.
Yeah.
But obviously running the business and everything is different.
Yeah.
And I had a while where I was like, should I be doing this? Am I better being like that number 2 person and like going when it's already established, or I wasn't sure. I ended up I got asked to interview for a company that was similar to the kind of intermediary one because they found me on LinkedIn and they were like, you've ticked every box. And I probably came across a bit arrogant. I was like, unless you're going to give me shares in the business, I don't want to come and work for the business. And I think I'd have happily worked for my old boss again, but I don't think I'd have had so much respect for him. But I don't think I could have done that for someone else.
Yeah.
And I think they wouldn't have been the same, and I'd have just been
Comparing
not
everything.
bought into it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it would have been a comparison, and I still believe now it would have been a bad one.
Yeah.
So they're like, that's a bit bullshit. We've not offered you a role and you're asking for shares. And I was like, I think my background warrants it, but if not, that's fine because I've got my own business currently and it's doing okay. And so I carried on, and then now where we are now, I'm really glad I didn't. But I think, to go back to your question, I think I've become more entrepreneurial.
Built your confidence by executing and then seeing results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm making mistakes and thinking, that didn't work. But then thinking, okay, that's one thing I know that doesn't work, so I won't do that again.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I see you as well, not trying to fix everything all at once. Like when we met, that was because we'd heard of each other because I was training at your gym and doing CrossFit at that time.
Yeah.
You'd then seen me on Instagram and seen what we did as a chartered accountancy practice, and we had a specialist niche in the fitness industry. And I think then you must have identified, after running your business for a number of years, okay, well, finances and tax optimization is not something that we're really, really on top of.
Yeah.
Let me reach out and see if we can get a meeting in. And then it went from there. But you weren't trying to fix everything right at the start. You don't need on day one to have a CFO, for example.
Yeah.
So you've naturally just looked at areas of your business that can improve and brought partners on board over time. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. And it's kind of grown and evolves and it changes. And I can't remember who I was listening to, but it was one of the podcasts. I listen to the Tim Ferriss podcast quite a lot.
Yeah, I love that.
Dora, the CEO, Andrew Huberman, which anyone who's in doing health fitness well should be listening to.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's heavy, but it's amazing. Like the Peter Attia one as well. But again, that's all health, longevity, wellness. But the guy was, I think he'd had a couple of like $1 billion companies, and it was really interesting talking about. It's like the way his startups. He says things seem to they break to a factor of like, was it 3 in 10? So from 1 to 3, you can just wing it.
Yeah.
Then once you get past 3, that stops working.
Yeah.
And between 3 and 10, you need a different system.
Yeah.
And after 10, it breaks, and then that system works up to 30. Then that system works up to this point, and it's now where I am now. Actually, see that's the case. So going back to what you said, it's this isn't really working now, but we need to address it. So how does that happen? And that's probably where we went from the accountant that I was with, who was someone I knew and kind of a friend, and
which works up to a point. Because I agree, up to 10k a month, 20k a month, 30k a month, you can maybe do a lot of it yourself and do your own planning and have simple financial plans and do basic tax planning and things like that. But after you get through that point, you really need to be on top of real-time information so you can make good decisions. Yeah. You're paying a lot more tax now, so there's more potential to do tax planning and reduce that tax bill. Yeah, it just becomes, I think there's a logical progression to it. Yeah, and if people try and do it all on their own, it's really difficult. You've got access to us now, but you've also got still a relationship with your mentor who's built and scaled businesses to high valuations. And they just naturally know, okay, well, Tony talks about it in his life cycle of a business. You're an infant, so you can just do everything yourself. Okay, now you're a toddler, so you probably need to think about an accountant, maybe a solicitor to deal with some of the HR things, maybe a mentor or a coach now. Yeah. And then you go to teenager, and then you go to this, and then you go to that. So yeah, I think a lot of people, a lot of business owners, a mistake they make is just trying to sit down and work it all out for themselves, whereas businesses have been run for hundreds of years and there is a natural evolution of what you should do at what point, and you just need someone to tell you, right? And to analyze your business at different areas. Yeah,
it's
that's really
seeking an
interesting.
expert, isn't it? So it's if you need to sort your diet out, like, or you've got health related issues with your diet, you need to go and see someone who specializes in that. And if it's you want to prep for a bodybuilding contest, there's going to the gym and then there's building a bit of muscle. But then if you're going to like the extreme, that top end, you probably need a coach.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. Yeah, you can do your first show probably by yourself and you can get enough content online to diet down.
Yeah.
And you probably have the accountability when you're young and you don't have a wife and kids and things like that and a business to run. Yeah. You know, like I did my show when I won the teenage Mr. Britain, natural Mr. Britain at 17. I did that with just a little bit of help from the gym owner, who gave me my macros. I stuck to it myself because I had nothing else external, no external pressures apart from college. Yeah. And it was okay. But like now I want to optimize. So I have a coach to tell me how to train, sending check-in pictures every single week. He's got 150 other clients. So he's got that benchmarking ability. He's constantly it's the same thing. You can do your own accounts and finance, or you can do your own tax planning, or you can do your own strategic planning. But once you get to a certain point, you've got your mentor who's already 10 steps ahead, who says, we'll do this next, we'll do this next. And I have that for our business as well.
I think you've also got those areas of expertise. So you can have like your niche and your area of expertise, but you can't have loads of them. Yeah. And so the same thing, your coach who's doing your macros and your this, that, and the other has a massively deep knowledge of that. Yeah. And then you get someone that'll have a massive deep knowledge of hormonal function, optimization, everything else.
Exactly.
And then says someone like me who knows like from the injury and biomechanics and movement point of view. Yeah. And I know a fair bit about training, but not as much as your coach. And then vice versa, your coach will know a little bit about injury and rehabilitation. Yeah. But not as much as I do. And then you almost get into that like a false economy of, I'll try and do it myself. Yeah. But you try and do it yourself, you don't do it that well, because you don't know it well enough. Yeah. And then you don't get great results. But then the time you spent doing that, you could have been doing the thing you're great at. Yeah, exactly. And it's almost, I guess you're into outsourcing, aren't you?
Stay in your zone of G. I think about it as Avengers. I've got it on my list of things to do for this quarter to get my team of Avengers in place. Yeah. And I always thought, before I spoke to my mentor, even up until a year ago, okay, I need to hire a chief marketing officer. I need to hire this other area. I need to hire this other area. But there's also this phase, we're probably in teenager or, probably teenager. We're 10, 12 years into running Growth Factor. At that stage where you're running a business that's maybe turning over just into the multiple seven figures, you don't necessarily need a full-time chief marketing officer. So you can get some Avengers, one person who comes and does the marketing plan, one person who's a second opinion on the overall business plan, another person who, which is internal at Growth Factor anyway, looks at your finances and your cash flow and does your another person is doing the tax planning, and so on and so on and so on. And within that, even the marketing plan comes from the chief marketing officer, who executes that plan is the mini Avengers. So you've got your SEO expert, you've got your artificial intelligence expert, and you've got all these people now available on Fiverr, or we use Fiverr a lot. I've got someone on Fiverr who lives in America editing this podcast for a fixed amount per episode. Yeah. And if I'm not happy with them at any point, I can just stop them and go to someone else. Yeah. Whereas a lot of people will then hire in, an editor to do it, and then it just becomes another person that you've got to manage. Yeah. So I think, yes, you will need to hire, but that's, again, it depends on, each business is different, each industry is different as to when you will hire internally and when you will have these freelance Avengers. But I think we never had access to this 10 years ago. You could never go on Fiverr and say, well, I want someone to edit a podcast. You would have to hire someone, right?
Yeah, if you look at it that way as well, and now you touched on AI. That's just a whole nother,
Yeah, ChatGPT is just crazy.
I've got this list of AI things that I want to learn about and look into because it will save me time. But I've got to find the time to look into the things that will save me time. But
I'll give you one thing. Just go to ChatGPT, sign up.
I've done that.
Leave that tab open all the time and ask it questions. And it is just ridiculous. Yeah. I asked it the other day. Well, actually, no, I was showing my kids just to show them, to get them to understand like what's available and that they're banning it in schools now.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
embrace it.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Well, we won't get into the whole way that the whole school system developing, it's built to develop robots to go into the machine, whereas actually we want our kids to be...
We're talking about health as well. Why you go in and take a bunch of 4-year-olds and make them sit down for 8 hours a day? It's like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I mean, a guy came out, Kelly Starrett came out and did a whole thing in America about in schools they should have standing desks, or at least desks that alternate between sit and stand. We could do, I think we'll do a series of these podcasts and dig into different areas because it's so interesting. Like looking at even just, you could talk for an hour about how you optimize your work environment. I've got a sit-stand desk. I don't use it enough, but just a platform that sits on the desk that I can push in and go up so I can sit, stand and just set reminders to do it. And makes them, I'm feeling a little bit lethargic now. Let me just stand up. I was at Tesla working the other day in one of their little booths, yesterday actually. They have a sit-stand desk in the booth that customers can use. Tesla's unbelievable. You go in, they use some sort of radar system to know your car's there. You don't have to give them a key or your phone because they can control it. They tell you what's going on. They're texting you while they're doing the service as to the progress. You go in, you get coffee, you get a snack or whatever, or not me because I'm dieting. You go into the room, there's a sit-stand desk, there's full internet. And it's just like so different. They've reduced the people so their overheads are lower because they don't need people, because if you go to BMW, you go to the front desk, they've got 3 receptionists that they're paying 25 grand a year. The receptionist then tells you what's going on. You never get to speak to the mechanic. Yep. In Tesla, you walk in, as you're walking in, the mechanic's walking out to talk to you. Hey, how you doing? This is what we're going to do. Just keep an eye on your app, When your car's done, they text you, you go outside, they give you a one-time access code to move the car, and they've put it on charge for you.
So that contrast is mad, because my car had a recall for something to do, the charging battery system to go back to BMW. So I was like, all right, get in touch. Well, how long will it take? Oh, well, we're not sure. It's like, okay, so if you don't know, I need a car. Yeah. Okay, we can book you in 9 weeks' time. Is there a risk of my car catching fire? Because you said it's an issue with the charging power, whatever, in the batteries. Yeah. No. So why is there a recall? Well, we've had 1 or 2 issues. Anyway, so I was like, right, well, how long will it take? Is there somewhere I can sit and work? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Whereas
and this comes back to corporate versus I know Tesla is a corporate business, and we can go into like
But it's a
Elon
mobile,
and is
agile
evil and all
startup.
of these things, but they're operating, like they are a startup. How do we do things differently? So one of the things that Tony Robbins talks about, if you're not familiar with him, have a look at this, is 7 forces of business mastery. And one of them is strategic innovation. And there's a really great book called Blue Ocean Strategy. Have you ever seen that?
I've heard of it.
I really recommend reading it. So what it says is, how do you put yourself in a blue ocean, which is almost like if you imagine a big ocean of red where there's so much competition, and then a tiny little island around it is a little bit of ocean which is blue, and that's where all of these Teslas, Ubers live. And that's because they found something to differentiate themselves from other competition. So for you, for example, it wouldn't even be the quality of the service, because there might be other physios out there with that, although they probably haven't got that Premier League background. It would be, you can go to one place, have all your stuff done, and we look at you holistically. No other physio is offering that right now. So that would put you in a blue ocean. Okay. But you have to, each quarter, each 6 months, each year, redo this strategic innovation exercise, because eventually that innovation will not be innovation anymore.
Yeah, it becomes normal.
So you have to just keep checking every quarter. Oh, am I still ahead of, does that make sense? Yeah, I think, I don't know where I was with that, but...
It's being different, isn't it? It's being that bit
that's right,
better and innovative.
Just be a little bit different and a little bit different in the approach. Like now I've realised, because someone reversed into my car on the driveway, and Tesla have got, it's not just Tesla, Ferrari do it, and some of the other manufacturers. You used to go to the garage and say, here's the damage, and it'd be this whole annoying process. Now you just text Tesla, send them pictures. They've got a company that sits in between Tesla and you who organise everything. You don't have to talk to the other insurance company. They just organise everything. They don't charge you anything. They must be taking a cut somewhere. Yeah. And they're constantly texting you, sending you pictures of your car. Here's when it's going to be updated. They deliver a courtesy car to your house. Right. It's just a totally different process from before. You'd have to phone your own insurance company. So anyway, my point is that if you're in business and you're in an industry, regardless of that industry, how could you innovate and develop and do things differently?
Well, you now make me think, well, maybe I should look at getting a Tesla for my next car, because it's just the convenience.
The only issue with the Tesla is the build quality. Even though these new ones that are made in China, you turn the volume up really, really loud and you'll get door rattles. And I've got OCD and it really annoys me. So I'm taking my 2 Teslas to an audio expert to basically rebuild the doors. Oh, wow. And upgrade the audio. But that's the only thing that I've found that's annoying. Everything else I love. And I bought the cars for cash. And yeah, someone might say, well, why have you put 150 grand cash out on cars? But it's an asset. One of them's a business vehicle. It's only used for work. The other one's a personal vehicle. And they sit there and I've got no monthly payments going out. Yeah. And for me at that time, although now I'd recommend you finance a Tesla because the values have fallen off a cliff. At that time, I did it because I didn't want to pay the interest, and it was the best form of doing it. Before, I had a Porsche 911 Turbo S.
Yeah, I saw that. That was nice.
Beautiful car. But that's costing me money, and I'm having to pay that out of post-tax dividends, and the Range Rover. And it's also the range. I can do 300 miles. It costs me £25 to charge, even with the electricity costs. So,
No, I agree. Well, like, as you know, mine's electric, and the next one, whenever it comes, is electric as well.
Now, for Achieve Health, do you think it's logical for a business owner to do what you do, which is, let's talk about the triangle: attract, convert, deliver. In terms of attract, you're getting people in because they've got a need. Yes. And that initial cost investment for them, for you to build trust, is not that high. Yeah. And then you can build up the transactional value and the recurrence over time. Is there any other way that people come to you? Do they come to you straight away for ongoing treatment? Do they come in the gym and then revert back to treat? Do you have a conscious lead gen process, or is it just you've made yourself optimized for local area because you're a local area physical business, and so people find you on Google and things like that?
So you've got the people find us on Google. So we've got everything that runs around that. So we've got our website SEO, we've got our pay-per-click, and the pay-per-click in particular is actually a very effective way of generating leads for our business, because.
And do you track spend?
Yes.
to
so on our acquisition
inquiries,
costs,
and then you know all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
So we've got, it's an acquisition cost of whatever it is. It varies a little bit week to week, month to month.
And people might think I should know the answer to that, being your accountant, but I don't do your accounting. I just run the accounting business of your accounting. So I know Anish, who's your accountant, would have had those conversations with you, but that's why I'm asking that question.
So that works quite well for us because that's been established over time. The company that run it for us are good. They focus on, like you focus on health, wellness, fitness in your business. That's what they do. They've niched down into that. They're Google partners, all the other things.
And they can tell you, okay, there's
tell
a
you what's my
limit.
cost per
You
lead.
can't just throw more money at it because there's a cap on how many people are actually searching.
Yeah.
But here's an optimum amount to spend. Here's how much you spent that month. Here's how many leads you got. You know your lead conversion.
Yeah.
So therefore, okay, I spent £1,000 on pay-per-click, but I generated £2,000 in income. You can look at that.
What we'll know is it'll average down to your, right, you had so many clicks, you can track the bookings effectively as well. Because most people now don't call up, which is great. They go through to the website, they click the book now, and they book online. Yeah. So that's all tracked.
And you can track all that with a pixel.
And equally, it knows if they clicked on make a phone call, and then we'll know we're probably going to convert 60% of those.
Yeah.
So you can then say, you've generated this many leads, your acquisition cost per lead is 9, 12, 14, 16 pounds, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We know that we're going to do probably an average of at least 6 sessions.
Yeah.
So you can do the maths.
Happy days.
And what we've done of the past, this year actually, we've started really trying to dive down into more detail where all of the guys now kind of have to input their weekly stats because the system isn't complex enough to do it.
Yeah.
Because we know, so if someone's discharged 6 patients because they're all better.
Yeah.
and then they discharge another 4, and then another 4 the week after, that's going to create gaps in the diary.
Yeah.
So you then have this balance of my sort of 4 senior guys. We have a good problem of if you're like, we've had this challenge where it's like, can you see me on Friday? It's like, I haven't got an appointment for 3 weeks because the diary's full, which is kind of a good problem, but it's actually not a good business.
Yeah.
So we're then looking at as well, how do we better manage this? And then where for the guys who have got a little bit more space in the diary, it's when they are full, monitoring how many new patients are coming in and how many patients are going out, and getting clarity of that and saying, well, actually, if they've not had as many new patients in here, but they've had this many discharges here, we know that in 4 weeks' time, that's going to end up with holes in the diary.
Yeah, and you can start to plan.
So now we then map that. It's like, right, we can then have a weekly increase the ad spend, decrease the ad spend. We've not got any appointments for the next 3 weeks, decrease the ad spend because someone's going to click.
Yeah.
So I want an appointment because their knee hurts.
Yeah.
I can't get an appointment for 3 weeks. I'm going to go somewhere else.
So you're constantly checking the data around lead inquiries, spend, but also linking it to capacity.
So exactly.
And it's just that fine balancing act of scaling while making sure there's enough demand that you aren't paying people and they've got free slots.
Yes.
But if people want an appointment, they can get it within a reasonable time.
So we're trying to hone in on that and make sure that we're not, someone clicks on the ad, we're paying for it. But then they can't book an appointment within 3 weeks. They understandably, they're probably going to try and find something else.
And are you responsible for that, or have you got someone in your team that looks at that sales and marketing dashboard?
Yes. So what I'm doing now is trying to build more of my team members into this more management aspect of it. So I can try and have more of this kind of CEO type role whereby there's obviously the physio business, there's the fitness business, there's the aesthetics business, which is about to launch. I then have kind of the pregnancy ultrasound scanning thing that's slightly separate.
Yeah, definitely an entrepreneur.
Like sitting around being able to say, how is this? What's going on with that?
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm in the process of kind of building those guys up into these are all the things that need to be done.
Yeah.
And then what's really interesting now I'm doing that is like, they've actually got the time to now do this, and this, which has been on my list of things to do, but I've not been able to get around to. So, I think we're at the point where I'm the bottleneck.
So and as well, which is a really good piece of advice that we do, you assign a certain piece of each person's week who would be doing physio treatment or would be doing delivery to some of these management tasks, which also is a way to progress their own careers. Yeah. It's a way to add variety, and also they understand the business. Rather than just bringing in some fresh person whose total role it is to be on top of sales and marketing, why not, in your stage of business, take a piece and allocate it around across the team? You can run a much leaner business that way, and also you're getting people much more involved in the business. They feel part of the business.
Yeah, I think from the old business, that worked. It did what it did because we had great people, but it's because we promoted from within.
Yeah.
So there was hardly anyone that came into the business in any kind of senior position at all. Everyone came up. So they were part of our culture.
Yeah.
And Have you read the book Good to Great?
Yes, a long time ago. But yeah,
so
Jim Collins.
Yes. And it's that same thing. Those, if people don't know it, it's essentially, I mean, it's a bit dated now, but it's an analyst of the most successful businesses. Criteria was, I think it was 15 or more years of outperforming the market by more than 5 times.
Okay.
And there were only like 12 companies, and it wasn't Apple and it wasn't all these other ones. And yes, this was, I think the book came out in the, about 2005 or 6.
Yeah, it's a classic.
So it obviously would be completely disrupted now by Facebook and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But the common themes across all these businesses.
But no, I think the thing to note is we're not trying to make this podcast for the Apples and the Facebooks. We're trying to make this for owner-managed businesses.
Yes.
And that book will be totally relevant.
Yeah, so I think everyone should read it or I listen to it. I travel a little bit in the car. I'm in the car for probably 3-4 hours a week.
Yeah, so that net time is a book every
no
few
extra
weeks.
time, yes, another Tony Robbins thing. But that book was brilliant in that it's all of those companies that succeeded all ended up with CEOs who they promoted from within.
Yeah.
And all of the comparison companies that parachuted in these superstar execs had increased performance for a year or so and then did not. And then it was consistent across all of them.
Yeah.
And the message in that all the way through is you're only as good as your people.
Yeah, 100%.
And the analogy now that I thought was great in that was the most successful companies get the right people on the bus.
Yeah.
They don't even worry about where they're going. They don't know what the destination is, but they know if they've got the right people on the bus, that when they get there, they'll make it work.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got the wrong people on the bus, it's poisonous. And I saw that in the previous business, and I saw how having the wrong people in, it's toxic.
And that's because you've recruited, maybe they've got the right qualifications and the right CV, but what they don't have is aligned culture and values.
Yes, exactly that.
Which is why cultural-based recruitment is so much better than just looking at someone's CV. Obviously, if you're recruiting accountants, we want people who are chartered accountants. They've got the qualification, they've got experience.
It's a basic box of tick.
Yeah, but then it's more about like a growth factor. If you speak to any of the team, even if it's offshore Philippines team or offshore India team, they've all got the same mentality. We could all go out, have a meal, and we'd all be similar kinds of people.
I've recruited two staff in the physio business over the past 18 months. I've done 50 something interviews.
That is crazy.
And
maybe you need to look at your process where you're pushing them through to interview.
But you're in that box ticking operation of you've got the qualification, you've got the
so it's hard to determine.
You've said all
until
the
you
right
talk
stuff
to them.
on your CV.
Yeah. Do you know what we did though that might be useful? We put this thing in as a second stage where they had to answer questions on video on their webcam.
Oh, that's a good shout.
It's automatic. So they book in, you say, yep, you've gone through. Next step is go to this website. There's 6 questions. I just want you to turn your webcam on and just answer the questions. No more than a minute or 2 on each. Then I have so in the Philippines team, I have my senior Philippines accountant watch the videos first. She will tell us yes or no for Yasser to interview them. In the UK, Yasser will watch them, but you can literally then watch a video for 30 seconds and be like, nah.
Yep.
It's golden. Because if you get on Zoom with someone, or worse for you, they've come into your clinic.
I don't do that now.
You have to talk to them then for an hour. I'd highly recommend it. Also, then you're only really putting people through who've got the confidence to sit on camera and do a video. Whereas you want people in clinic who are confident, amiable people. They have to have confidence to be able to...
They've got to be great communicators.
Or even on their iPhone, you can do it.
Yeah. It's the same. I mean, the same for us. They've got to be great communicators, but the best therapist, the best communicator. But I think if you go to anything that's face to face, coaching, strength training, personal training, name what it is.
Yeah.
The basis, the basic skills of how well someone comes across is actually quite hard to teach.
Yeah.
You can teach the other stuff as long as they're capable of learning and replicating information. If someone's a good learner, I can teach them to do everything they need to do.
Yeah.
But if they don't have that inherent ability to be a great communicator and that personality, it doesn't matter. Because if someone's technically the best clinician in the world, technically the best strength coach or the best whatever it is, but if they can't get that person to go, their client to go on a journey with them, they'll lose them.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So you need to know what you want. Yeah. So for me, I don't have to have every one of my accountants be like that. because I'm not going to name their names because I'll embarrass them,
Yeah.
but I've got one who is a terrible public speaker and would never record online content and all of those things. In a meeting on Zoom, talking about their core area of competence, which is accountancy, finance and tax, yeah, they're great, but you would never put them in front of a camera or put them up on stage.
Yeah.
So you can develop these accountants to have different secret strengths, superpowers, and they're different people, right? That's cool. Okay, so conversion for your business is all done by booking an appointment and they come in. So the conversion is really done on the website. It's not really done. You don't have a sales phone process, right? Or anything like that.
We're trying to avoid it really. So
making sure your website looks good, the copy is good, you've got someone helping you with that.
Yeah.
Are they tracking as well from version 1 of the website to where it is now, making changes to the website, the wording, the look, the feel, the flow to increase conversion?
Probably not into that detail now. So we will look at comparing what it was like then to what it's like now.
Or comparing conversion rates to industry standard or benchmarking, things like
Industry
that.
standard is a really difficult one to compare to because there's so much variation.
So how do you know whether your website...
Well, let me rephrase that. So what we do get from our guys is that they're entirely in this physios, chiropractors.
So they know.
World.
They don't need to bother you with that detail.
This
they
is a
know.
website that converts well.
Great. Okay.
But what they also then know is all the other campaigns they run.
Yeah.
They're like, yours is converting really well.
Yeah.
And we've been with them a long time, and kind of he had an issue with a previous business partner who tried to pull the rug out from under him. Yeah. So we had a conversation 4 or 5 years ago where he was like, I need you to stay with us. Yeah. And I was like, I trust you, I believe you, fine. Yeah. And the payoff of that now is that we get relatively cheap rates compared to what they now charge.
Yeah, because you were loyal and you've built a long-term relationship with a key partner.
Because I got such a good relationship and trust, I know that we're getting told the truth on that. So we have that side of it. But going back to what you also said, one of the things I've tried to set up within the business is that once someone's in the business, they never leave.
Yeah.
Now, what I mean by that is not that they continually have physio treatment, but if they're in for physio treatment, and for the majority of people, it's the best thing for your health, because chances are you don't train, or if you do train, it's maybe not optimal, is you go and see one of the guys at the gym who I've handpicked, who I can communicate directly with, the other guys will be able to say this, to work on this from a rehab point of view, but to work on this for your general health.
So they can build a bespoke program for that person.
So then they're into the gym. And then equally, we've got our members at the gym, and if they have an issue or an injury or problem, they're straight into the physio. Yeah. And now we're bringing in the aesthetic side of the business, so your Botox, your fillers, your fat dissolving injections.
Yeah, and we spoke about that, and that's about people will talk to each other. I've had Botox. It's quite funny because my eyes are a bit red at the moment because I got some retinol. It's called retinol. You might not know what that is yet, but you will. When your aesthetics people come in, they'll know. Basically burns away your wrinkles. So I was using this retinol every day in the morning and then going out in the sun, because I just took it in a hurry from the clinic. And they wanted to explain to me how to use it. I was like, no, I'm in a rush. It's not their fault. It's not the clinic's fault. Anyway, I'll switch to your clinic when it opens. And what you're supposed to do is use it maybe twice a week and use it in the evening. And does
it inflame the skin and cause like a collagen reaction?
So like now my face is, it's quite funny if you think about it. I'm just sort of burning my face away as you go happily, going out. What's going on? But I talk about that. I get the Botox. The Botox was amazing. It looks good. You can't really tell that I've had it done. Yeah. And then I'll tell someone else and someone else. So you've got this community in the gym. Once you launch aesthetics, someone comes in, they look a bit better. What have you done? I've gone and just done a bit with the aesthetics.
So that feeds around. But then equally, the people that come and see us for physio, privately, we're not cheap, probably have the funds, and probably actually already do have aesthetics done.
So it's what can you do for them that's complementary.
Exactly. And then you get into the whole, for me, people are, especially in our industry, the clinicians, they don't like sales. Yeah. Because they're not trained to, and it's not what they're naturally inclined to do, otherwise they're probably gone to do sales. Yeah. But you then get into, and I think this is the same for anyone that's in the health and fitness industry, is, well, what is actually the best thing? Remove costs, remove payments, remove everything else. What is the best thing for the long-term health of that person? Yeah.
And their confidence. So aesthetics is not health, but it's confidence, which can pervade into health.
Health, complete state of physical, mental and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Okay. So that's the definition. Yeah. So when you look at that bigger picture, right, so get someone out of pain, get them able to exercise. That's a big pillar of it.
Yeah.
Get them exercising regularly, get them building strength, get them feeling better about their physique and feeling fitter. That's a big component of it. If you then can address the when they look in the mirror as well, think, oh, actually, and having now seen it with a few clients, they come in and they're happier.
Yeah.
Because of the way they look, because they've had that
they'll-
slight change.
They'll train harder in the gym. They're more likely to stick to their diet. When they're at work, they're confident. Probably their sales conversion will go up. The things that they're doing will be different.
It compounds. So in isolation, they kind of stand alone, but when they all come together, it's like a synergistic effect that multiplies it further.
Yeah, I love that.
And then, there's a brilliant Andrew Huberman podcast come out recently about dopamine.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
And it drives everything we do.
Yeah, and he's
Everything-
talking about
every bit of your
vapes
behaviour.
and all these things. Yeah.
And also interesting, talks about rhodiola as a pre-workout. But and everyone should listen to that dopamine one and understanding what makes your dopamine go up, go down, but what that will then trigger you to do.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because then you can then extrapolate that and you think about your clients, your customers, and why they behave the way they behave and why you behave the way you behave.
Yeah.
And if you go into that, their pain's better, their fitness is better, their strength is better, their physique looks better, they look better, their dopamine's going boom, 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 boom. And when you've got like consistently high level, people crave the junk foods and all the shit because they think it's giving them that short-term improvement in dopamine.
Yeah.
And it drives our behavior. And so if you tick those boxes, they're here, and as you said, they perform better at work, and then works better, and then works better. So the homework, because they're going home and they're like, oh, work was good today. You're not getting in the door and seeing your partner or your kids and you're not exhausted or knackered or had a shit day. And it's just everything comes up.
Not philosophy, but general process of slowly raising that base level of your achievements, your potential.
And every little thing you achieve gives you
Up and
dopamine
up and
hit.
up and up and up. Yeah, I love that.
So every little target, boom, dopamine hit, and you'll feel it.
So next time we're going to talk about what I actually wrote as notes,
sorry.
which will be part 2. No, I think it's been so good. Do you know what? I don't like planning these podcasts because let it go in a natural direction. And for whatever reason, I thought we won't focus on business today because I know you've got so much and we've both got so much good stuff we could talk about in terms of mindset. We've touched a little bit on it, physical and all of those things. But we'll do that in a part 2 because actually the business journey and how you run your business and the differences is going to be so useful for people. So stay tuned for part 2. That's going to be, I wrote down health, diet, training, mindset, learning. We'll get into Tony Robbins on the next one as well. But I don't want to, we could sit here for 3 hours. I want to make sure that this is concise and leave people wanting more. And I know that they will be after this one because I've actually loved our conversation so far. If you were going to give people 3 keys who are in your industry to success in business, what would those be? And it can be a repetition of what you've talked about, but just sort of short, sharp, succinct things. It's almost like bullet points. Imagine we're trying to turn it into a reel.
Yeah.
What would be your 3 keys to success?
I think you've got to try and add massive value. So people are going to come in with an expectation of, I'll revert back to the physio because that's my original training. But whatever your service delivery is, they're coming in with an expectation of, I expect this.
Yeah.
So you've got to meet that. But then how do you go beyond that and how do you offer more than that?
Yeah.
Because then you get that, you go into the raving fans and all that sort of thing. But if you exceed someone's expectations, you're going to have a customer that comes back and tells their friends.
Yeah, you have raving fans, and the ability of raving fans is that they'll give referrals, and then those people will be raving fans, and so on.
Exactly, and that's, I think, ultimately something that helps you grow a business. And we talk about it with our guys when we do our team trainings, is you tend to remember really, really good things and really, really bad things.
Yeah.
You forget what's in the middle.
And it's all based on, I've got a framed picture upstairs which says, trade your expectations for appreciation from Tony.
Yes.
Which you try and do to the best of your ability. But human nature is you have expectations for everything. And if you can exceed the expectation, that's where the happiness comes in. If you meet the expectation, no, I'm not going to tell anyone about that.
I think in going to the physio side of it again as well, is communicate, especially those early interactions, kind of almost under promise, but explain why and then over deliver.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you're coming in and saying, can you fix my back? Say, look, there's no guarantees.
Yeah.
There's all these variables. However, if we tick these boxes, we should see a good outcome.
Yeah, and I used to make the mistake
And in my head, I'll be like, yeah, we're going to sort it out.
Yeah, and I used to make the mistake of over-promising and under-delivering because I really wanted to sign that client because I needed the money, I needed the income. Now at Grow Factor, we under-promise and we'll save you X amount of tax, guaranteed we'll save you tax, and then we'll do more. Or we'll do X, Y, and Z, and you'll be feeling this way about your numbers. You'll have this financial clarity, but then we don't even talk about giving them strategic insights or business planning templates or things like that. So it's those little things that you hold back. If you can convert that client and then give them more, 100%. Okay, number two.
Number two is don't be passive.
Yeah.
So,
this comes back to your example of getting on the phone, pretending to be the head of...
Yes, partly that. I think, again, there's a brilliant quote, and I can't remember what it is, but it's hope is not a strategy is one of the key parts of it. And it is. So, look, I don't really believe in luck. I feel like people make their own luck. Yeah. And when something happens... Or they make their own complaints. If you analyse it, it's the result of a series of actions that you've taken that have led to that thing happening. And it's not... Look, because if you hadn't done A, B, or C, you'd never have got to D.
Yeah.
So
set your goal and then be confident, consistent,
and be responsible. So that kind of another book, Extreme Ownership. I don't know if you've read that one.
Yeah, I've read it. I've got it upstairs actually.
But that take responsibility, and if something's not worked, why is it not worked? Like drill down into it, analyze it, work out what it was and what hasn't worked, and it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and don't blame it on someone else.
And don't hide from. If there's something negative or someone makes a complaint, see it as an opportunity.
Yes, the best thing
ever. Because they can end up being your best customer. So if you can drive what's wrong, we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
And you might have to take it on the chin and say, right, we're going to sort this out. You're going to come in and see me. I'm not going to charge you.
Yeah.
We're going to rectify the situation. And then they're like, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And you turn the negative into a positive.
You genuinely, if you've got the right mindset and confidence about your business, you want people to tell you what's wrong.
Exactly.
Otherwise, how do you fix it? I'm always saying to my kids every single day, every time you fail, you learn. It's not a failure. It's learning. If we're not failing on a daily basis, like football training that I take with my under 9s, I say to them when they've got this look on their face like, this is hard. It's supposed to be hard. Yeah. If it's easy, you're just playing with your mates. You come to training, yes, it's fun, but it's supposed to be hard. That's how you're getting better. Okay, number three.
I think communication is a massive one. So take that time to learn about communication, how to communicate, how you come across. If you're dealing with people, I think it's hugely valuable for people to do it for themselves and then learn about basic personality behavior profiling. So you've got your disc profiling, which is people may or may not be aware of, where you get split into 4 broad categories. So you've got your red, blue, yellow, green, and understanding that there are opposites. So I'm very red with bits of yellow. And I think greens are my opposite. And so I came across this because I had a client who did high-level profiling for high-level business. So they're going to bring in an exec as part of the team, as part of the board. Do they fit with the rest of the team, or are they going to clash because they can't have that? So she's like, I'll do it for you. It's free. I'm intrigued. I think it'll be interesting. So she does it. She's like, you're red, you're blue, you're red and yellow. And she's like, these people really annoy you. I was like, oh my God, they infuriate me. And she was like, what you need to understand is you're their opposite. So that's what they think of you. And I sat there and I was like, shit. And she's like, so think about now, those people that have come in to see you and it's just not gone well and you've not connected with them. And I was like, there's 3 in my head that it was just a battle. And she was like, it could have been so different. She's like, so then you learn to recognize the basic traits. So I went to one of her courses that she did. And without knowing anyone, she stood everyone up. She said, right, you in that corner, you in that corner, you over there, and moved everyone individually. Based on what we were wearing, she'd categorized us into the 4 main personality types. And she was pretty much bang on.
Wow.
Just purely on the outfit we turned up in.
And why that's important is, which I'd forgotten about actually, but I need to build that back into my workflow. My team need to know how to effectively communicate with their clients on an individualized basis. So if you're in a service business, I think what you're saying is that customer comes in, ideally, ahead of their first session, you've got information off their new client form, which allows you to determine what type of person they'd be on that disc profile and amend the way that you communicate with that person so that you can get the best out of them in terms of the treatment, but also in terms of building a relationship.
Yeah, that in terms of building that rapport, because you've got your individual behaviour, and then it's classed as your adaptive behaviour. But if you know the key traits of the four main, someone comes in, and by the time they've come in, you said, "Hi, how are you? How's your day?" You should be, right. They're more blue, they're more green, they're more yellow, and then you adapt yours, because people tend to like people that are more similar to them, and obviously you can get into mirroring and all those things. Yeah. But if someone's quite quietly spoken and you're like high energy and you're up here, you're going to turn them off, and then obviously the other way around. 100%. So that I think in terms of your communication with clients. But if you've got a team or work in a team, have you come across Enneagram?
No.
So I listened to Peter Diamandis on the podcast.
Okay.
And he was talking about this Enneagram personality profile. So there's 8 types.
Yeah.
And the thing that's fascinating with that is it's more comprehensive in terms of different types, but it then tells you the interactions. So what's likely to go well or what's likely to go wrong when an 8 interacts with a 2.
Got it.
So in terms of your then,
have you done this with your wife?
Yeah, and it was comical. At your best, you're like this. We're like, yeah, that is us. We're awesome.
Yeah.
At your worst, you're like this. You're like, oh, yeah, literally like shit. But what's also good is it talks to you about their key kind of drives and needs and wants. Yeah. And, we're quite different in certain ways, my wife and I. Yeah. And hopefully, I don't know, she might not listen. There's like some people are internal validators, and it's like they can look at something objectively and go, yeah, I've done that well. Yeah. I don't really care what anyone else says. Yeah. Whereas she's more on the other side of it and needs someone to say, that was really good. Yeah. And so that's not something I'm very good at.
But once you have that information, you can change your behaviour, and then your relationship is better.
Yeah. But then that interaction with your people that work with you, so what's going to motivate them, what isn't, and then how you have a conversation with them about their performance is you change the words, and you can get a completely different response.
And that's like really your powerful. Team operates like the best football teams do. If you look at Man City at the moment, they almost know what the other player's going to do without even looking. They understand each other, right? Okay, cool. We talked a little bit about tracking, marketing and sales metrics and finances. What was the reason that you came to Growth Factor when we first sat down in the first place?
What was the reason? The reason was I was unhappy with my existing accountant, who basically turned around and says, "Oh, by the way, you've got this bill this year." And I was like, "Excuse me? No, this is literally your job. This is not meant to happen." For me to turn around and say, "You've got wallop, there you go." I was like, "What are you doing?" And then got on and had a phone call or a meeting, and ended up me being the one that made suggestions about how to rectify the situation. And I'm like, "What am I doing? I'm paying for this." Yeah. And then we'd spoke briefly in the past, and then you knew you were involved with Anthony Robbins. And I was like, they've got to have something about them to be involved in that. So I thought, let's have a conversation. And it just, I think it fitted well in it. It's about, again, building performance longevity, and the business is at the point now where I need like a monthly P&L and what's going here and there and all the other things, and to have that clarity of exactly what's happening in the business.
Yeah. And what's been your experience so far? Like what's been different from your previous accountant to working with the Growth Factor team?
So I say I've had to be a lot more involved, but that's obviously a good thing in doing that, I'm then more aware what's the smaller details, because my personality type is I'm not overly detail orientated. It's like that's the goal. Owners, Like, right, that's how we're going to get there. Let's go and do it. Yeah. I'm not really going to spend hours planning out the details of how to start doing it and learn as you go along. But that isn't necessarily great from an accounting point of view. So just organising that, having Xero set up properly, and having mileage tracked properly, and the Dex and the receipt track and all those things, and then it's like, oh, I've now got a system. But what that's now enabled me to do is for the guys that are self-employed with me, say, right, you need to use Dex, you need to use Tripcatcher, you need to do this, and they're like, oh wow, this has been so helpful. So it's
enabled them to do what they need to do. Yeah. So you've got all of their information.
So that's been great. And then now we're getting to the point where we're looking at, it's our month-to-month accounts and the P&L and what's happening here. And
so looking at the numbers and making strategic decisions from the numbers.
So we've then had Anishman, right, based on this and this and this, your corporation tax bill next year is likely to be this.
So you're not ever going to get that situation of a bill out of nowhere. And also, if you know roughly what it is now, we can start doing tax planning to reduce that.
So there was enough money in the account. He's like, right, let's take that. And he's like, you're with Starling. He's like, yeah, right, Starling got these things. Basically, it's a separate savings account. Take that there, put it there, forget about it. And then
Yeah, so he's given you a simple system
Yes.
to manage your cash flow without any complexity.
Yeah.
That's cool.
With where, as I said, when it's one or two people, it's easy enough to do.
And are you happy? Would you recommend us to other businesses in your industry? Yeah, you have.
Yes. So yeah.
That's what I think is so amazing. It just loops in as a nice way to finish. If you do a good job and you do go above and beyond, you will get referrals. You've referred me to 2 or 3 people already within working. That was actually, a little while back. We'd only been working together 2 or 3 months. So to me, that shows, without even checking with Anish and the team, are you delivering, that you're happy? So if you have a business and you're listening to this or you're watching it and you're not getting referrals, you have an issue. And the issue is you're not delivering enough value to your clients.
Yes.
If you have a service business.
So what I would say to that, so just to digress slightly, what we would say to our therapists is the single biggest measure of your performance is if you get what we call a self-generated pay. So you come in, you have to be like, that was great. You tell your mates to come in or your wife, whatever else.
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything else. So muscle strength, muscle mass is the single biggest predictor of mortality.
Yeah.
In our business, the ability to self-generate a referral is the single biggest predictor of performance.
Yeah.
Because regardless of, even whether you've got the person better, they think what you've done is great and they've recommended someone else.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about performance, the one metric for us is how many self-generated
And you've sat
you
down
get.
and you've given your team members that key performance indicator and you're enabling them with their KRAs, key result activities. What can they do to improve the level of referrals, which I think is incredible. We didn't have KPIs in our business for about the first 6 or 7 years. If you have staff, they need to have, we said this last week as well, they need to have KPIs, key performance indicators, even if it's just one. So they understand what they're aiming towards, and KRAs, key result activities. How can I do my job to best give me the chance of improving that KPI or hitting that KPI?
See, I've never heard that. That's real. I like that, KRA.
Yeah, K result activity. So for example, for Growth Factor, every single one of our clients, we have this Google sheet called an ROI tracker. It's called something else, but it basically tracks the return on investment. And we categorize it into qualitative advice that we've given you. I think we're setting you up a group structure and we've done certain other things. That will be qualitative right now because it won't instantly save you tax. But in the future, that will move into the quantitative column. Okay, we set up a group structure for you. It saved you 55 grand in tax. So every time we save you tax by something we do, we put it in the Google sheet. Every time we give you advice, or maybe we advised you to up your pricing by a slight amount and how you could do that, because we've shown you that you can track the optimum price. I won't get into that now, and we've moved the price. We would track everything. If we give you qualitative advice and your feedback was, that was amazing because it allowed me to free up X amount of time in my week, we track that. This tracker gets looked at by a level above. And this is one of the components that we look at, and it gives the team then over time, okay, well, I did this and this was the result. So if these are the results, the KPIs, the KRAs are over here in what did you do? So if referrals is a KPI, a KRA, one of them is keeping that ROI tracker up to date and making sure inside there, every single month, quarter, year, whatever it is, depending on the client, size of the client, there's something in the quantitative column, like you actually gave them a return, and there's stuff in the qualitative column. So I think before an accountancy firm, and most accountancy firms, as far as I can see, don't even think about that. They just think their job is to file accounts.
Yeah, I would say they're very mild and completely passive.
Yeah. Whereas that's, to me, true proactivity. But yeah, KRAs, I mean, you're doing it anyway. It's just a different terminology, right? How can people find you? You're not a big Instagram person, are you?
I'm terrible.
You've got a lot of amazing things to say, though. You should be putting out content. I think you should have your own personal brand and you should put your thoughts out into the world. I know it's an extra job to
Maybe.
do, but
You know what? I think I've got my own issue with that. I don't know. Where I have no problem following other people who do the same thing and who've got great content, and I love the certain podcasts and everything else. Yet I've always had a bit of a thing about doing it myself. I don't know why.
Well, my feedback would be this has been unbelievable. Really enjoyed it, genuinely. So much value. and it may not be something you do now, but I would highly consider like creating your own content, because I think you've got so many things to say that are unique, not repetition of other people, and you've got so much experience. We could genuinely do a 10 podcast series and not run out of things to say, which I've not had, right? So it's been amazing. You are based in the West Midlands.
Yes.
So if people are in the West Midlands and they want to achieve more with their bodies, fulfill their potential, any aspect of that, they've got aches and pains, or they just want to, for me, it was just about optimizing and being a better version of myself. Yeah. Google Achieve Health. Yeah. They'll find the website, book to get in touch. Is that probably the best way to find you?
Yeah. It's going to be through the website. You probably will find me on some social media somewhere, but you won't find anything recent.
Google.
I cut it out years ago because I found it was just a distraction.
Yeah, you have to have ways of creating and then not consuming, which is really difficult, but I'm working on it, and I can go through a few things with you. Like creating the content and posting the content not on the platform, using a different app.
Yeah.
So you're then not tempted to go and scroll, and setting up things that stop the scrolling and all of that. But we could talk about that.
That'd be helpful. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We'll definitely do it again. Next time, let's dig into health, mindset, physical fitness, and then there'll be, hopefully, if you can spare the time,
we can wander off again on different tangents.
Wander off again. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm sure you'll agree that today's episode was amazing. I'm sure you're going to be rewinding, pausing, making notes, taking so much value from it. I think I could create about 150 reels from this episode with so much insight, so much expertise. Definitely if you're in the health and fitness industry, but even if you're just running a service business, everything that we talked about is relevant to you. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.